Lecturer at Elizabeth High School and Junior College. Welcome back to my class. Today, let us proceed towards the 18th unit of our inter first year, that is self-dependence. It is a poem actually which was written by Matthew Arnold. The poet of this poem is Matthew Arnold. Before beginning with the poem, let me ask you something. Let me tell you something. People at times feel lonely although they may enjoy material comforts. Often it is not easy to answer questions related to the complexities of life. Man turns to nature to find solutions for his problems. Does he succeed in his endeavor? So what he is saying, people often feels lonely even though they might be enjoying the material comforts, right? They will be feeling lonely from inside. At that time, having no options, at last they will obviously turn to nature, right, to get comfortable, to become comfortable. So this is a poem in which the poet have beautifully picturized the beauty of the nature where each and every individual can search for comfort. Before beginning with the poem, let us proceed towards our poet's introduction. As I have told you earlier, this poem is written by Matthew Arnold, who was born in the year 1822 and he left the world in the year 1888. He was born at Laleham, England. So he was the native of England actually. He had his education at the famous Rugby School where his father worked as headmaster. Later Arnold studied in Oxford. Even at school, Arnold started composing poems which won him prizes. His first book of poems, that is named as The Strayed Traveller, was published in 1849. Soon followed the second volume in 1852. So the first volume of this was published in the year 1849 and the second volume of this book was written in the year 1852. He became professor of poetry at Oxford in the year 1857. He is equally famous as a literary critic. So this was all about our poet. Now let us proceed towards our poem. Self-dependence is an imaginary poem actually that will be having a great meaning inside it. So now let us proceed towards it. Weary of myself and sick of asking what I am and what I ought to be. At this vessel's prow I stand, which bears me forwards over the starlit sea. So here, what it is saying? Weary in the sense very tired. Okay, so tired of myself and sick of asking. So here the poet is telling about a person who is tired of oneself, who have lost the confidence, right? What I am and what I ought to be, what is supposed to be. At this vessel's prow, what's the meaning of vessel's prow? The pointed front part of a ship. So at this vessel's prow I stand, which bears me. So where the poet was standing at the vessel's prow, at the pointed edge of the ship, and he was thinking about himself, who got very tired of himself. Forwards over the starlit sea. What's the meaning of starlit here? With light from the stars. So forwards over the starlit sea. And a look of passionate desire over the sea and to the stars I send. Yea, who from my childhood up have composed me to the end. So what here the poet is adding, look at the passionate desire that is there inside me, right? Over the sea and the stars. So a great desire which arose from his heart when he observes the sea and the stars. The stars from which his childhood has been lighted up, right? From which his childhood have calmed up. Calm me or compose me to the end. What's the meaning of compose here? Manage to control one's feeling. So the stars and the sea from which his childhood was composed, was managed actually. Once more I cried, ye stars, ye waters, on my heart your mighty charm renew. Still let me as I gaze upon you, feel my soul becoming vast like you. So here what the poet is saying, once more I cried. So again he is shouting, he is crying, water, stars, right? And on my heart your mighty charm renew. So again my charm for you is renewing, right? Again I am getting interest as like my childhood. I hope you all have noticed that the small children will love to see the waters and the stars obviously, right? But in the youth, in the adult period, what will happen? Because of our busy schedules, we lost interest in the nature. But again, when we don't have any option, when we feel very lone, again we will go towards the nature, right? So that is what it is happening here. On my heart your mighty charm renew. Still let me as I gaze upon you. When I gaze upon you, when I stare at you, feel my soul becoming vast like you. I feel like my soul is becoming vast, huge like you. From the intense clear stars own vault of heaven, over the lit sea's unquiet way, in the rustling night air came the answer, which though be as these are, leave as they. So here what the poet is saying, from the intense is very strong, right? Clear zone, which is very clear, vault of heaven. The meaning of vault here is an arched roof. V-A-U-L-T, vault, an arched roof. So from the intense, very strong desire, clear and a star's own arched roof of heaven, over the lit sea's unquiet way, over the sea where he was standing, right? Unquiet way. That is, the meaning of unquiet is something that is making sound. And which sound you can hear when standing upon the sea? The sound of the air breeze, right? In the rustling night air came the answer. The meaning of rustling is making a sound like leaves rubbing together. So in the rustling night air came the answer, would thou be as these are, leave as they. Why can't we also live as the stars and the waters, right? Why can't we also enjoy the life? I feel like that while standing on the waters, the poet is adding here. Unaffrighted by the silence round them, undistracted by the sights they see, these demand not the things without them, yield them love, amusement, sympathy. So you are unaffrighted, without a fretting of the silence around them, right? And undistracted. The meaning of undistracted is something that is not distracted, something that is not disturbed actually by the sights they see. These demand not that the things without them. So the poet here is talking about the stars and the water, that is about the nature, right? Yield them love, amusement and sympathy. They do their work not for some amusement, sympathy or something. They do it with joy. And with joy the stars perform their shining, and the sea its long moon silvered roll, right? And with joy, with full of happiness, stars perform their shining. Stars lit the world with joy, and the sea its long moon silvered roll. The waves that will be there in the sea, right? The sea will create those waves joyfully, not forcefully. For self-poised they live, nor pine with noting. For self-poised is assured, we can say, for self-confident they live, and not for pine with noting. Pine is nothing but yearn. Not for they do not work for somebody to note them, right? They live for themselves. All the fever of some differing soul, for their internal soul they work. Who here? The stars and the water, the nature, we can say actually. Bounded by themselves and unregardful, in what state God's other works may be, in their own task all their powers burning, these attain the mighty life you see. So bounded by themselves and unregardful, right? So it is about the human beings. In what state God's other works may be. We are not considering the God's other works. We are not concentrating on the nature. In their own task, all their powers pouring. We are busy in our own task, that all our powers, right? All our happiness is pouring. These attain the mighty life you see, right? This you are feeling it as a successful life, right? Without concentrating, or else we can say neglecting the nature. O airborne voice, long since severely clear, a cry like thine in mine. O airborne voice, long since severely clear, a cry like thine in mine own heart I hear, resolved to be myself and know that he who finds himself loses his misery. So here, O airborne voice, that is the voice that is coming from our heart, right? Severely clear, that is very clear, right? A cry, that is from my own heart. I can say that resolving to be myself, right? Resolving in the sense, make a firm decisions, right? To be myself in the sense to be what you are, and know that and you should know that one who finds himself will loses his misery, can lead the life very happily with full of pleasures, right? When a person is able to find oneself with respect to nature, right, by appreciating the nature, we can say, then we can say that that person has lost his misery. So this was all about the poem in which the poet is beautifully picturizing the importance of nature, right? Importance of knowing self. That is about the self-confidence or self-dependence, we can say. I hope you have understood the poem. Let us continue in our next class. Thank you.